What's going on, guys? 205 4Runner here, and today I know that some people getting into this community, they aren't very tech inclined or any kind of wiring or electric inclined. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you a video on how to wire up ditch lights. So to give you perspective, what ditch lights are, it's these lights right here that go right there next to your hood, right there by your windshield. So we're gonna figure out, or I'm gonna show y'all how to wire this up. I have had these before, but I never made a video, so now I'm making a video. So first, what we're gonna do here is normally with them, extra wires, it'll be okay. These plug in to the light themselves, so they go into that harness right there. So, as well as this right here, this is your ground, this is your live. Normally what I do for the 4Runners is either you can put your ground right there on that bolt right there and just lodge it in there on your terminal, or you can just put it out here on your ground for your battery. I would not recommend doing it for your terminal just because some of them do rust out and some of them will break off into it. So what we're going to do today is I'm just going to go ahead and make it easy, and we're going to do it to the battery terminals. So we have each of our wires here. We're going to make it nice and discreet. So we're going to feed this wire back in behind the braking system right here. Then we're going to feed it all the way back here behind the motor. We're going to adjust that in a second. And normally what I like to do is whenever you are securing it, I would do a zip tie right there where that bracket is. It may be different for the V8s. I know that you'll have a lot less room to work with in the V8s. So basically just make it work with what you got. So we're going to go ahead and clean this up just a little bit. Go ahead and feed that back behind there where you can't see it. The heat's not going to get to it unless you bought some cheap lights. And then what we did as well is for the controller, you want to get it down there in that hole. You want to feed it through, and then it's going to come out right here. And what you're going to do is feed it through there, through the truck. And I'm going to show you in a second on how we make it nice and simple, so where you don't see all the wires. But we do have these brackets from Cali Raised LED. What's pretty cool about them is they have letters on them. So as you can see, that's a P for passenger side, and then wherever the other one went,
one's right here.
then that one's a D for driver's side. So it makes it nice and easy. So we're gonna put that one there, and we're gonna put this one over here. Alrighty, so we figured out that this is a 12 millimeter. First I thought it was a 14. That's most of the bolts are on these 4Runners. If you want to, it's gonna be a little tough. Don't hit the Tundra here. And my bolts are a little rusted, you're gonna see that. Normally what people like to do is take these hood shocks off. I don't, just because it's another step that obviously isn't needed. So we're not gonna do that. But we're gonna go ahead and loosen these up. And you're gonna see how rusted these bolts are. But a little rust never hurt nobody. Get this off. Woo. Alrighty. So I would recommend having someone to help, just in case, because these hoods do have a mind of their own as soon as they come off. So they're gonna go every which way. You want to make sure that this doesn't come down and hit your windshield or even bust your hand open, because they are heavy. So go ahead and loosen these up. stop being difficult. There we go. If I'm not mistaken, this one is out. Got a bug on my face. There we go. That's one. As you can see, that bolt is very rusted, but it'll be all right as long as the it's not cross-threaded or threads are torn up on it. And you're gonna see in a second what I mean by having someone else to help. And as soon as I get this bolt out, they do have a mind of their own, and they will slam down. And they do hurt. I remember the first time I put these in, it fell and almost busted my windshield. But as you can see, it just roams free. And as you see, whenever I let go, it will sink that way. So just hold it up with one hand. That's why I say keep the hood shock on to let it help you out. Now, unless you know, your hood shocks don't work, then it's kind of pointless. But the way this goes is it goes underneath here. You may want to move that windshield wiper fluid line, but it'll be all right without it. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and line this hood back up. Come down a little bit. Let's see. Now, the tedious part is lining it up. There we go. We're in there. It is going to be a little rough because it's rusted.
Many months later.
Alrighty. Now we have them in. They line up flush and they're in there. And you can see that right there has no gaps in it. That's how you know that you are good, and they're all tightened down. So now, time to go to the other side. Alrighty, do the same thing again.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new.
Say maybe 65. I don't know, maybe 40, 30. Yeah, maybe 30 pounds. Just make sure they don't come off. All right, now we're done the hard part. Alrighty, so what we're gonna do now is put this on here. We're gonna feed this wire down here through this ditch. If you want to come look over here, down there in that ditch right there where the wiper is. We're going to lift it up just a little bit. Feed that through there so it's nice and flush, and just leave it there. And then what you're going to do, lift it up just a tad bit, get your bolt started. This is a 17mm bolt. I don't know how it is for other pod lights, but this is a 17. Alrighty, so this is a 17mm, like I was saying. I don't know if all the other ones are 17s, but this one is. So I'm gonna tighten that on there slowly but surely. That's the wrong damn way. Basically feel it whenever it gets tougher and tougher. You can aim the light wherever you'd like. If you have floodlights, these are spotlights, so these are not floodlights, so I tend to point them over to the side. So what we're going to do is aim them more over this way. Sometimes you can just grab them and tilt them even though they're tight, but I prefer to tighten them before Little brackets there, they'll hold in that little socket down here, or hold in that little bolt, hold it in so it don't constantly spin. We're just gonna keep tightening this. There we go. It's nice and tight. And like I said, you can kind of move it the way you want to. I tend to keep them about right there, more as a bright. It's over about that way. It's good. So it's on there. Ain't going nowhere. If you want to be a little more tedious, just put a little more elbow grease into it and it's on there. So we got this side done. Now we're about to go to the other side. Alrighty, so now we're about to feed this back through just like we did on the other side. So we're gonna lift up the hood just a little bit and get that down in there. Feed that through again. And there we go. So now we're just gonna not close it all the way, but just a little. Perfect. So now, see if we can, and I did, these pod lights are from Harbor Freight. They're just cheap little ones. Ain't nothing wrong with them. Unless obviously you want to go with diodes or Baja Designs or any other kind of company. So now they're starting to get tightened up. We're gonna aim them just like how those are. So that's a little tighter. Should be all right there. We'll probably adjust them whenever we turn them on. So that's that. Now we are good. And if you want to go right there, we can see they go up and they still clear at full extension. It is a little darker, so we're gonna go ahead and get this shit done. So we're gonna use this that we wrapped up. The only reason we wrapped it up is just because obviously it's long. There's a lot of rope that we don't need, so just tied it with zip ties. And we're just gonna plug that in. We're just gonna let it dangle down there out of the way of everything. Then we're gonna do the same thing to this side. Nice and simple. I'm gonna put the zip ties in at another time. So we're gonna do those later. And now we need a 10 millimeter and then a 12 millimeter for this one right here. Alrighty, so now we're about to wire these up. And bird. Alright, so always be careful. Make sure if you are using a longer wrench, do not let this end and that end touch at the same time, because it will shoot sparks. So we're gonna put a little bit of elbow grease to get this loose. I just like this point better because it'll clamp down easier on it. Oh. Alrighty, there we go. Go ahead and twist that off. After disconnecting the battery, I have noticed that the truck does run a little funkier. Just cut it off and start it back up a few more times and it'll be fine. So we're gonna twist that back on there. And yes, I know everyone's gonna come after me for how wiggly my thing is, but it works just fine. So now I'm going to tighten that down a little bit. Alrighty. That should be good enough. Don't wiggle. Now we'll use our 10 for this one right here. So we're gonna go ahead and bust that negative off. Go ahead and get that off of there. What we're gonna do for this is just kind of wedge it up next to this this terminal. So, because obviously it's big enough to even fit into there. So what we're gonna do is just kind of crimp it onto there and just tighten it down. So go ahead and tighten this. If you want, go ahead and tuck it just a little bit, make it a little bit cleaner, just like that. And this was perfect timing because it's now starting to get dark, so we can see how they look after wiring them up. Move a little bit now. So now we're gonna go ahead and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and wire this into the cabin, and I'm gonna show you all how to do that as well, nice and discreet the way that I do it. Go ahead and move some of these. And everything's already in the truck. So since we already have our... Alright, sorry everyone. Phone started overheating because, you know, iPhones. So now what we're gonna do is basically, I know it's a little hard without the flash on, but there's a place where you can feed it all through up there, but I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna feed it just through the fender here. I know it's gonna be a little different because I have fiberglass fenders, but it'll be all right. So we're gonna keep this tension. We're gonna come over here, and then with this, you pop that out and pull down, and this will come out. So, and these are pretty easy to pop out too. Just do that. I know that you can have a little button. If you want to have a button, I'm sure that it connects into that right there, just like the way that this does right there. That's just the wow, okay, well that's broken, but just the way that that does as well. But what we're gonna do is connect our stuff here. Hear the beautiful click. Hear the beautiful click. So now we have this. As you can see, it works on both of them. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to feed this into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed this wire into here. And normally what I'll do is just kind of wrap it up into a big old ball. If you want to put a zip tie on it, go for it. But I'm not going to, just because I don't have zip ties at the moment. So now what we're gonna do is you can try and feed that through. I don't think it will though. So what we're gonna do is disconnect this. I know we all love the snap, the beautiful snap. So we're going to unplug this, feed this wire through here, make it flush to where it sits where you want it to. Good thing about this is it kind of, once you put it in there, it kind of seats in there really well, just like that. So now let's move it just a little bit. So now it sits in there a little bit better. It's more straight. So now we can flick it. Well, obviously lights aren't going to turn on, but now we can flick it and we can plug these in. Again, beautiful snap. So now what we're gonna do is just tightly wrap this into a ball, confine it a little bit, confine the rat's nest. Don't come at me for just shoving it in here, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So now we're just gonna shove it all down there. Now, there's another problem, is that we have to actually tighten that so that it will kind of form to the door. So now we'll do it like that, and we'll pop it up in there. Now we can still hide all our wires all up in here if you want to. That's why I said recommend using a zip tie, but I'm not. I'll get to it later. Pop it back on. Make sure that's nice and good on there. Now there you go. You have ditch lights. And then I'm gonna show you all what I mean about it running a little rough. And at the moment the truck does have a misfire, so it may start up a little ronky, just it's gonna idle really rough. So here we go. You can hear it. It's idling a little bit rough. Just give it a second. And you hear it get a little bit better. Whenever you do stop at red lights or stop signs, you'll feel it kind of bunker down a little bit. Completely normal. They all do it. So now we have our stuff wired. Let's let the door flush. Lights. Now we can tidy up the engine bay, make it all nice and pretty again. Don't forget to remove all your loose screws, everything else in here. Now let's go ahead and test these lights. Alrighty, so now that we are finished, they now work. As you can see, how much brighter it is, even with my headlights than my brights. And then that. People think God's gonna be coming back. So, remember whenever I was first getting into this community, I had nothing. I had no experience of wiring. I had no idea how to do it. So now that I learned how to do it, it helps out a lot more. Just so everyone else can have a little bit of, people can do their own thing and I can help people out. There's not many videos about it on YouTube, so figured I'd go ahead and help y'all out. If y'all did enjoy the video, drop a like, subscribe. I will be trying to post more on YouTube, but I haven't really much lately, just because there's not much really going on with the truck right now. Whenever I do weld the bumper for the truck, that will be on YouTube as well. Don't know for sure yet whenever that's going to be done, but it shall be done soon. But thank you everyone for watching the video. If you did enjoy, like I said, drop a like, subscribe, do all that jazz. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll be sure to reply to them as soon as I can. Other than that, peace out.